Hi, so I'm Gaelle Bertrand. I head up social media intelligence at Kantar Media. And today I really wanted to talk about how to embrace a recent trend in the research industry, which sees research buyers increasingly being asked to make the most of what they have and connect intelligence from multiple sources. In fact, I was in a meeting yesterday with a telecoms client, and the client spontaneously talked about the need for his team actually to make the most of what they have and to use multiple sources to derive insights rather than just using single sources. So what that means for researchers, of course, is that they need themselves to be able to respond to this client's needs. So where are we today really, and what is this need from clients, or this new need from clients? Clearly what's going on is that clients or research clients are drowning in information from internal customer data to the research they commission themselves. It's really increasingly difficult for them to integrate data and connect all these insights from various sources themselves, because often they don't have the resources. And so sometimes they actually go out and commission companies to do that. And in fact, there's a new breed of company that I've come across which just specializes in that. So takes the client's research and transforms it into, and connects the dots and transforms what they have into actionable insights. You will see some quotes from clients really attest to this. This was from a hotel client who was telling us that he wanted to integrate his data sets. We also had the head of Insight of BT telling us that he wanted to transition his brand health measurement into an actionable source of insight by gathering all the sources that he has. And I think more poignantly, Stan Stanathusen, whose name I can never pronounce and I have to pronounce twice today, who's the SVP of CMI, Consumer Market Insight at Unilever, basically urges us to integrate or disintegrate. In fact, he did that at the MRS conference last year. And what he says here is that the status quo is no longer an option for researchers. They need to evolve to survive. So it's a question of evolution here, very much like Phyllis pointed out earlier. He even showed a video to support this need to evolve, which was from Google. And the Google video was actually showing how in an automated fashion you could create your own service for free using their tool, but also connect that with their AdWords data in a simple few clicks. So there's definitely a need to evolve from that standpoint. So if evolution is required, if you have to become a curator, an integrator, a connector, what will the researchers of the future look like, or what do researchers need as skills to be able to work on this? So as a market researcher, you're obviously used to collecting data, to creating robust frameworks, to know what questions to ask or most of the time, and also to understand the context. So context is absolutely key in research, which is again something that both the first two presentations highlighted quite eloquently. But I think that the hybrid researcher, the connector, the curator also needs to have two other facets to themselves. They need to be an analyst, which means they need to be able to structure, dice, aggregate data, so they need to know how to manipulate data very well. They need to be able to find the data points that matter quickly. They need to be able to dig some more, so it's very much like mining in a sense. and they need to be able to collate and cross-reference data effectively and in a meaningful way. The other skill that the hybrid researcher needs to have is also have strong consultancy skills. They need to think critically about what it means for the client, what the research means, why they're doing the research, what the context, how they're going to apply it. And why they need that is because they need to be able to recommend and advise on the so what that they see within the research to provide actionable recommendations. So what skills really sit beneath that, and what skills do you need to evolve? There's three really main areas which I think will be very obvious to you as well. First of all, there's clearly technical skills which needs to be built, so the ability to analyze any data set, transform, cut data, cross-reference. If you don't have that skill, if you're not already in the quant space, then I would urge you to gain those skills. There's the commercial skills, which are also very important. By commercial skills, I mean the ability to interpret data so that you can derive the actions that will be specifically relevant to the client that need to be taken from it. It's translating insights into action, and I know that as researchers, this is something that has become increasingly important. But not being disrespectful to my peers, it's not present in everyone. So that's the skill that need to be built. And the other one is really the interpersonal skills, which are probably the most crucial skills to develop here. Really, it's about relationship building and relationship development, which is also something that Phyllis clearly highlighted in her talk earlier. So relationship development is absolutely key, and stakeholder management as well. So being able to manage the client's expectation, being able to help them manage their own stakeholders' expectations. That's necessary in order to make sure that your project scope is absolutely, on the money in terms of what the client wants to find out. But it's also a way to develop client knowledge and to be able to identify and interpret their needs. If you know that, then it will be much easier, obviously, to translate them into research objectives, but also to transform them into action at the back end when you work with them. So specifically, what qualities are required in this brave new world? My first one is entrepreneurial, which is also something that Phyllis urged us to be when it came to research in the developing world. But I think it's actually true of all research and of all inside development processes. So you need to be able to think on your feet and just get on with it and just find ways of doing these things. You need to be creative as well. I hate this expression, but thinking outside the box is obviously a key quality that you need. You need to be brave. You need to be flexible. You need to think critically about what you're doing. You need to be able to build relationships, as I said earlier, but more than anything else, I think you need to be curious. If there were two qualities that I would highlight, and that's what they're in red here, is being entrepreneurial and curious are really the skills that I would highlight, or the qualities that I would highlight as being absolutely key for the future. Now, these qualities, if you have them, they need to be nurtured and developed. If you feel that you don't have them, they need to be acquired somehow. And identifying and thinking critically about yourself, and it does actually take take work and thinking and maturity to think critically about where you might have gaps. But it's absolutely necessary and a crucial starting point to then understand how you can develop these skills or these qualities that you will need for the future. What resources are available out there? How do I start? basically. If I identify that I've got gaps in my skills that I want to plug to be able to become that hybrid researcher. The good thing is that we are in an age of infinite information being available to you via the internet, and a lot of these skills, a lot of these qualities can be developed through self-learning. So there's a lot of resources out there, blogs, books, you name it. There's a lot that can be accessed. That can be accessed through online resources. What I think is important is really to build your industry knowledge. So really understand the industry fully, trying to understand the various techniques out there so that when you come across a data set, you know how the data might have been collected. So for example, if you're presented with ethnographic data, just to take the example of the previous one that was there, or ethnographic research or the results of ethnographic research that has been done previously that the client wants to integrate, learn about what that is and learn about how it's done, and maybe give it a try, because that will give you a perspective and a context in terms of interpreting and joining up these insights. Mentoring is something that Phyllis mentioned as well, and I would say that's invaluable as well. There's more people, as Phyllis said, than you think who are willing to help, and finding yourself a mentor to be able to guide through your development is a good thing to do, especially as a young researcher. There's loads of webinars available, like this one. There's loads of free talks, and social media is also one of the ways that you can follow, absorb, and interact to build your skills. Sue did a webinar about this time last year that I took part in as well, where she was going through the how to build your social media presence, and I think you should revisit that, because it's actually quite a good way if you're new to it to know how to interact as a researcher. So these are just starting points. We've only got 15 minutes, but there are loads of resources out there, and as long as you're willing, able, and really committed to your own development, you'll find ways of getting to that. I'm going to leave you with a quote which I like, "Fortune favors the brave," which I think encapsulates what you need to do in this new world, and it's be brave, I think. And I wanted to share a quote with you from one of my heroes, who died sadly this year, David Bowie, who said something which I think applies very well to where we're at the moment. He said, "If you feel safe in the area you're working in, you're not working in the right area. Always go a little further into the water than you feel you're capable of being in. Go a little bit out of your depth. And when you don't feel that your feet are quite touching the bottom, you're just about in the right place to do something exciting." I think he was absolutely right. And that's all I have for you this morning. Thank you very much.